It is the first in the National Park Summer series, and the setting is Grand Teton National Park, which, as you mentioned earlier, the setting becomes one of the main characters. It's, again, so iconic, and it's so beautiful and vast and worth a trip. If it's not on your bucket list, get it on there because it's just so special. And a few years ago, my husband and I actually had gone to Grand Teton for a special anniversary, and that was really where the idea of creating the series began. And I put characters in, but it's really about a grizzly bear. There is a true grizzly bear named number 399, and she is known as the Queen of the Tetons. She is just a remarkable bear, one of the oldest known bears who's was still reproducing. She even appeared a few years ago with quadruplets in her advanced age, which is pretty amazing because when you think a grizzly is not only feeding and protecting and teaching her children her cubs, how to hunt and care for themselves, that's motherhood. She is remarkable. She even has taught her cubs. One thing she learned early on was that if she stayed closer to where people were, closer to the roads, then male grizzlies would not be attacking because male grizzlies want to kill the cubs so they can mate with the female and get back to business. So she has taught her cubs how to even look left and right before crossing the street, if you can believe that. She's really, really incredible. You can't go to Jackson without seeing her pictures and portraits and artistic renditions of her all over. She's just a special bear that has taught people a lot about that we don't know everything we know about the wild. Well, that said, that was my hope to kind of go and get a glimpse of her. So many other parts of Grand Teton was just so special to see. I then created this story of a young woman who's a zoo photographer who is actually back east, and a National Geographic editor is watching her photograph bears one day in the zoo and says, if kind of dangles an opportunity and tells her, if you can get a unique picture of this bear that is just so well known, I'm willing to take a look at it for the magazine. And this young zoo photographer just grabbed it and ran, and off she went to the wild, thinking that years of studying animal behavior in a zoo could translate to the wild. While she's there, there is a seasonal ranger, a who's in charge of bear management, who realizes she is so out of her league, doesn't know what she's really doing. And this bear in particular, 399, there are probably about 35 to 40 photographers this is their living, camped out to try to get a picture of her emerging from hibernation. This our little zoo photographer thinks she can just join in with the professionals. She can't. They nudge her out, they push her to the end, and finally the seasonal ranger kind of takes pity on her and helps her figure out a way to actually try to get a good shot of the bear that the other photographers aren't able to get. All this while, in between each chapter, I have an interlude of a poacher who is also after a shot of the bear for a different reason. So it's kind of a little bit of bordering on suspense as well. And they're sort of all coming together like this toward the end. But it's a really fun story. At this time in our country, with the divisive feelings that people have, I think the best antidote of all is national parks, and they are a treasure for all of us. There's so many of them, 63. There's over 400 sites as well, and I think just going to these national parks, finding one nearby or planning to get to one will just give you this sense of unity that we are a country united. We have so much more in common than what divides us. The respect and awe of nature is just so filling. It's amazing. With that, I also encourage people to be smart about it because every year, grizzly bears, for example, seem so lovely, and yet they are a ferocious predator. They're the ultimate predator. They are 800 pounds of hungry mass. And stay away, give them respect, drive slowly, things like that. And not just the bears, but the bison and and anything else. But I do think that's probably one of the best things, and I'm not even trying to drum myself up with, and promote my own books with that, but I just feel so impressed with our country for what they've done in the past to take care of these parks, to preserve it for generations to come, for the people that are part of that whole story, and it makes you excited about the future too.